came across it, I was like, why not? Especially when we talk about emotions and leadership. I feel sometimes we get emotions get a better part of us. But I hope today we are able to learn how to lead without drama. And a lot of times, especially in boardrooms, I feel there's a lot of drama going on. So this is an additional topic on top of emotional intelligence, which I believe we did sometime last year. So now today we have this topic just to enhance it or to take it a notch higher, especially leading without drama. So, and this one is more specific to managers, leaders, and supervisors, especially when you lead. I think you the teams that we are leading, they need to see us very emotional, stable, I must say. So together with us is none other but Wilfred. He will help us take this topic and understand it, and also try to break down or understand how to manage our emotions, or even how to get hold of emotions even when things are really not going well. So that is it. My name is Purity Wanjiru. I work for ACCUREX. And ACCUREX is a HR consulting firm. I believe majority of you must have interacted with us. If not, and you're hearing about us for the first time, we are a HR consulting firm. We do trainings just like these ones and many others. You can get more information even from our website. We do strategic management consulting, HR department, formations, jobs on our and see what job we can possibly hook you up with. Other than that, karibuni sana. I'm keen to talk more about our business, ACCUREX, at the tail end of this webinar. But for now, karibuni sana, and let's pick Wilfred and his brain and see where this will go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Purity. And as you said, it's always a pleasure to host people at ACCUREX o'clock. And I believe everyone is fine. Good to see everybody. And for those that may be joining us for the first time, as Purity had mentioned, my name is Wilfred Chachi, and I'm glad to be your facilitator today. Trusting that everybody has come with an open mind, because as I always say, we learn, learning is a process, and we learn every day until you yourself stop learning or you go 6 feet under. So welcome again. Glad to be here. Just as a thumbs up, just to kick off as I share my screen, I want to see if people are getting me right. Thumbs up if you can hear me. Please share as I share my screen also. All right. Also, if you can see my screen, please give a thumbs up. All right. Thank you, everybody, and welcome. Now, as also Purity had mentioned, this is a very interesting topic. And those of you who joined us, I think 2 weeks back, we learned about communication that sparks action. And this is really another interesting topic that we are going to talk about today, about emotional control as a leader. And I know many of us are leaders in our own perspective. And as a leader, just mute your mics if you're not speaking, please.
Jane, please help us mute the participant. Go ahead, Wilfred.
All right. Thank you. I was welcoming Big Fish in the meeting, so karibu sana. Now let's have, as I said, let's have an open mind. Let's be interactive. You don't have to wait until the end of of the sessions to have your question raised. So, as I said, is a learning curve. So it is interesting to find that as leaders, most of us, we call ourselves leaders, but there are certain aspects within our leadership purview that we go astray, sometimes not knowing, because sometimes our behavior is, depicted through other people. We may not know that we are, exhibiting certain traits, but through other people, you can learn about yourself. So today we are going to learn about leading without drama and how we can be able to control our emotions. And this is, as Britain mentioned, it's as much as it cuts across. So today we are going to dwell much on senior levels because we know in our various capacities, we know we have managers whom ukisikia tu jina yake unasema that guy, okay? So now learning how to lead as an example or as by an example, it's very key. So I've put a tagline there that says that calm minds, strong leaders, and you can bear me witness from the people that you've seen all across, you've come across in in this space, both that this could be in your professional space or personal space. People that are calm and collected, people tend to trust those more than they do others. So within many organizations, we find that the way leaders manage their emotions, or now I'll call us because we are here as leaders, the way we manage our emotions will directly have an effect on how credible we are. It will directly have an effect on how trustworthy we are. Again, it will have a direct impact on how the culture within an organization is impacted. So any misdirection or any emotional outburst will, of course, dent the confidence and the cohesion within the team. So that's what we are going to talk about today. So as leaders, we need to maintain composure. So let's see the topics you are going to cover today. So the main objective of this training, I believe that it's going to help us understand the impact of what emotional reactivity is. And this reactivity can be both negative and positive. So we are going to see about that. We are going to see how we can control, or how self-regulation when you are a leader is very key. Again, we are going to see how we can lead both situations, be it difficult situation in our organizations or in our team, how we can best lead that calmly and attain the credibility that we require as leaders. We're going to see a few practical tools that can help us in our emotional control as leaders, that can help us, of course, catapult the organization and, of course, the team we are leading in a positive direction. Again, we are going to see how we can model stability and maturity within our leadership space. So I'm hoping at the end of this session that we'll have learned the control techniques, we'll have learned the way, the do's and don'ts, so that we don't become dramatic. I'm aware that in today's society, drama is what sells. Okay. People like drama. Okay, so and so did what, so and so did what, so and so, behaves like that, like this, things like those. But we want to have an organization where the culture is so cohesive, is so positive in a way that when you are doing your work, when you are subjected to any position, you can rest assured that your input is valued and you are part of the team. Right. So as I always say, I always start by asking a question, or rather defining our topic. So maybe at this point, I would like just to get the feel of the room, how we feel about how we define emotional control, or how we think that leading without drama is by definition. There's no right or wrong answer. I just different in the way we perceive stuff. Yeah. As we think about that, there is a tag like a quote that I saw. It was made by Bruce Lee. For those of us who are fanatics of movies, there was a guy called Bruce Lee, and he said that emotions can be your enemy. If you give in to your emotions, you lose yourself. You must be one with your emotions because the body always follows the mind. And this is so true because even the Bible says, for those of us who are Christians, as a man thinketh, so is he. So whatever is in the mind, the body will follow. So we need to be careful on what is we put and what we input into our mind, so that our body reacts in an appropriate manner. So maybe 2 or 3 people, or I can pick. Sometimes in a class you need to jumpstart some people so that we can go together. Right? Ellie, yeah. Sabina,
Yes, yes.
yes. Ellie, good morning.
Good morning, too.
Thank you for joining us. I'm throwing this at you. Tell us, in your own words, how do you think emotional control is? How can you define it? I mean,
Um, well, from my own words and my own understanding,
mm,
uh, emotional control is when you are able, uh, you know, you as a human being. A
mm,
human being is a social being,
yeah,
and we come around and we encounter so many things before we get into our working environment.
yeah,
And we encounter different things maybe before we meet our employees, before we meet our bosses, before we meet our clients.
yeah,
And sometimes maybe somebody just piss you off before you meet a client or before you meet your juniors at work.
mm,
And now when you're meeting them, so emotional control is when you are able not to go and finish the anger that you have on your junior or to the client, but
mm,
now you are able to control your emotions such that they are not able to realize that
mm.
somebody has pissed you off just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, great definition. Yeah, that is perfect. That we all aim to reach there. Yes, Mercy, what's your view? Mercy Wekes.
I'll add up. Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, yeah. Continue.
I'll just build up on what he said. Emotional control just means having the ability to manage your feelings so they don't negatively impact on your decision or your communication or your behavior. Because sometimes people tend to forget that leaders are also human beings. So as a human being, you need to also identify where your triggers are or what your triggers are.
Yeah,
And if you're having communication with people or you're holding, you need to make a decision on something at your place of work. It doesn't matter what is going on or how badly it has triggered you personally. I think just having the ability to separate your emotions and your decisions and your actions. I think that's emotional control.
correct. In a nutshell, that's it. And I think you can also see what is on the image that's on your screens. There is one person that has different faces, So depending on a situation, how you depict yourself to prevent that emotional outburst is very key. So how I've defined it, it's about how well, and you have well articulated that, how well you can manage and keep your emotions in check, right? precisely our emotions reaction to situations. You know? Depending on what situation we are facing, how do we react? That is very key. Now, it's about also learning to respond to your emotions in a balanced way. So you don't have to be extremely on the edge, or so that you can be, either seen, because there are some leaders, I'll call them bosses, because leaders are people who have mastered the way to control their emotions. There are some bosses who think when they raise their voices, people will hear them, but that's not the way it works. So having a balanced way of reaction, adapting to situations, of course, enhances both your well-being and, of course, the team you are leading, right? I saw there's another hand. I don't want to close anybody who has a view. Anybody else? We can proceed. All right. Now, definition of this now sometimes may involve, behaviors such as rethinking if you are facing a challenging situation. Is it making you angry? Is it making you anxious? Is it making you sad? Is it making you fear? So things like those are the ones that when you feel the trigger, and we are going to see about those triggers, when you feel it coming, then you can be able to stay calm, and then, be able to handle the situation as it comes. Right, so let's see our first topic being how the impact of emotional reactivity is, right? As we've defined, we have impulsive reactions, which again we have mentioned, it weakens leadership credibility. And you can bear me witnesses for those of us who have, supervisors or other bosses or people above us or people that lead us, whichever organization that may be. You'll bear me witness that there is difference between people who react impulsively and people who react calmly and adapt to situations. They try to find a solution to a problem. These two people, their leadership styles becomes very, very, very different. And here we see that it weakens credibility. And we see that credibility is a result of competence and emotional activity, also consistency. So if you are emotionally stable, if you are competent, then your credibility is high. So, and we find that most of us as employees, in different organizations, we judge leaders not just by the decisions they make, but how consistently and appropriately they respond when, especially under pressure. And we see this happen a lot, especially when we are under pressure, tight deadlines, things not working, not meeting targets. Things like those, they make us, as leaders, have an outburst because things are not working. So again, mood swings, emotional inconsistency, all these reduce confidence. And as a leader, of course, you'll find that, and again, you can all agree with me that for that leader who gives an impulsive outburst, would you be encouraged to, if you have an issue to raise, would you be encouraged to go to that person? Maybe I can hear some views from the audience. Would you be encouraged to go to that leader or that boss who probably you will think to yourself when you go to them, if it's a problem or if it's a suggestion you have. If you go to them now, there's two sides to this. They may either receive it positively or negatively, right? So emotional inconsistency reduces or rather discourages open communication, and it weakens collaboration across. This may be in all departments or in the organization, right? Maybe from the audience, I can add 2 or 3 people. If you feel you can still go to a person who is impulsive. Anyone? Yes, Ellie.
Sometimes it's very difficult. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Continue.
Yeah. So I was saying sometimes it is very difficult to deal with bosses who are emotionally inconsistent. Like very like in some organization, there are some bosses that you know very well. Our HR, you don't see them on Monday. On Monday, they usually come with a bad emotion. But you know very well that our HR, see them on Friday, you'll get what you want. So perhaps you have a pressing need on Monday. You'll be like, you fear going to them. So it is very difficult, and it is very difficult to deal with people who are emotionally inconsistent.
True, very true, very true. And I know I'm seeing some people are agreeing here. There are people who Monday. That's why people dread Mondays. Monday blues, Monday blues. Somebody had a very heavy weekend, and then they come on Mondays. They have mood swings. They are emotionally inconsistent. You wouldn't want to go to that person, right?
Or end month.
Yeah, or and especially the HRs when they are doing payroll, right?
Yeah.
The HRs in the house, purity. Yeah. So emotionally aware leaders build trust, and this is just contrast to what we've talked about. Those leaders who are emotionally aware, of course, people trust them. They increase engagement in terms of now you as a person, if you need any assistance and you have any suggestions that can help you or the organization, you will be more inclined and willing to accept whatever decisions or instructions they give, and you are able to follow them, trusting that they have your best interest, right? Again, low emotional reactivity stabilizes teams. And this is very true because we've seen the organizations whereby leaders have empathy. Leaders have emotional stability. They do not react just impulsively. They rather listen to understand to a situation rather than just respond for the sake of responding. So people feel psychologically safe either to report a problem or to give suggestions for improvement for the company. And then you find that there is a lot of improvement in terms of team collaboration and task achievement, right? Again, you will see that how do we identify personal emotional triggers? Probably again, I'll put this through to the audience. Have you as a leader yourself identified which are the triggers that when you say, okay, mtu akikanyaga hii na umevuka mpaka, and you will feel it coming so that you are aware, okay, now I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling angry, I don't need to go to that direction, right? Do anyone who in the audience who knows their triggers? I'd like to see a few. Barry? Jacqueline knows by thumbs up. If you can't speak, you can just say thumbs up. And I'm glad to see that people are, Sabina, thank you, and Tabitha. It's good to see we have an audience that are emotionally aware, right? So for the rest, are we not? Okay, at the end of this session, I believe we shall have known what are those triggers. Thank you, George, Barry. All right, let's proceed. What are these triggers? Poor quality affecting production, and you bear me witness on this one. If you are a leader and you are producing poor quality in terms of whatever product that you're giving or whatever service that you're giving, you have complaints from customers. This will be a trigger as a leader. Repeated mistakes, and these repeated mistakes I've highlighted it. It works both ways, mostly on either way, either work related or personal. So if you have, even in your own relationships, you try to to say something done in one way, but you see the output, the person that you are entrusting the task to, they are always repeating mistakes. And especially when you come 3 or 4 times, you will get angry, you get frustrated. Again, system failures, last minute changes. Again, this one works both ways, whether it's on personal or work related. Then lack of reliable information for decision making. Then, and this one, let's just look at this one for a minute. As a leader, you are as good as your team, right? And when it comes to you giving task, and then you realize that the information that your people are giving you, and you can bear me witness, most of our leaders, we say, oh, it's people around them who are advising them wrongly. And then you go out there, you with your confidence, and you are giving a report, say to the board, you say, yeah, we've got a profit of 15%. Now we are going in the right trajectory, only later to find out that the decisions you made or the report that you are giving to the board was not correct. How will that make you feel as a leader? That's food for thought. But those are some of the key areas as a leader that we need to also be aware of. Now, in this case, you gave a report that was not correct because of the information you relied on, which was not good. But at the end of the day, as a leader, you don't point fingers because you want to be a good leader. Last time we talked about communication that sparked action. So either it would mean your communication was not right, or you did not verify those, because as a leader, you also need to verify. You know? And we find that there are those leaders that they do not like being interrupted, So those are some of the triggers. So this my leader or this my boss, if he's speaking, I keep quiet. If we interrupt them, they will be impulsive, So you don't need to. And then public disagreement. Yes.
I think you're here.
Anyone?
I think let's have Jane, please mute whoever is unmuted. All right, go ahead.
All right, I'm still audible?
Yes, you are.
All right, so again, there are people who do not like, being challenged in public. And this, again, works both ways, whether work-related or. So we will find that this person will have an emotional outburst because someone challenged them, and then dishonesty, lack of transparency. We are all aware of this, and you can bear me witness. A lot of us, I don't think there is a person who likes people who are dishonest, right? And this becomes a key trigger for many of, not only leaders, anybody. If someone is dishonest to you, and then you find out that they are dishonest again, you feel frustrated because now they are not being truthful in the information they are giving. So these are some of there are many out there, but these are some of the common triggers as a leader that you have that you need to be aware of. So when you are speaking to your team, for example, the last point of dishonesty, when you are speaking to your team, you need to find out, because the communication is, we talked about communication last time, and we agree that it's a two-way, like a two-way street. So and then all the information or interaction that we should be having, it should be solution-oriented, right? All communication should be solution-oriented. So that means we need to find out that if our team members are being honest or not, are they being transparent? And then this bleeds down to how you are leading them. If you are a credible leader, if you are a trustworthy leader, of course, I will be, as your subordinate, I'll be inclined to follow you, or to agree to your instruction because you are transparent. So we find that when leaders know what situation typically spark frustration, they can pause and then choose a measured response. This will keep the decisions objective rather than emotional, because we know for a fact that when you make an emotional decision, at the end of the day, it doesn't bear productive fruits, right? Okay, so how do we self-regulate as leaders? One, self-regulation enables you as a leader to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Again, we'll all agree that when you sit back and analyze whatever it is, the situation that you're facing, and you start feeling those triggers, when you sit back and pause and think through, that's why there is a famous saying, think twice before you speak. And another philosopher said that's why we have one mouth and two ears. So you listen more, you speak less. So when you speak, ensure that whatever you're speaking has meaning, because words have a way of impacting people. And I was listening to another podcast that says there is sometimes people, I would rather you slap me, rather than just insult me or react in a way that when you say something, because words can never be taken back, even if you say sorry 100,000 times, you can never take back what you say, right? So I'd rather you slap me rather than, using abusive language as a leader. So you need to self-regulate, which will enable you to, be a good leader. Then you will create a steady, predictable environment whereby your team, they will feel safe, they'll feel focused, and they'll become solution-oriented because they will follow you because they know you have their best interest. They just not fear you because now you have given a task. So they'll do it because, okay, if I do not do this boss will start insulting me. And you've all, one situation or the other, you've all, you know, been on the receiving end of a very, irritable boss, right? Now, self-regulation also prevents escalation. And you can see that sometimes this escalation can go where we have found people, going to court for, defamatory, insults, saying you defamed my, my name. So I'll go to court, and this has resulted in people losing their, their work, losing their money, losing their property, and things like those. So we need to find a balance. So when you self-regulate, it reduces defensiveness across the team, across departments, and it keeps attention on performance other than personalities. Because when we think of personalities, you will give, as a leader, you'll be biased in terms of, I'd give this person a task because I know he can work. He hears me, even though I might be wrong as a leader, because we are not always perfect. I might be wrong. But as a leader, I need to be unbiased. So that, whatever my direction is, people will follow, not just because they fear me as a leader, but because they trust what I'm saying is credible. And then self-regulation also helps in staying composed during conflict, and especially our emotional control is highlighted when there is conflict, when there is pressure, when there is, tight deadlines. So this prevents escalation, staying composed. And then at the end of the day, because we are cool, calm, and collected, we gain the trust of our team members. We gain we improve on decision acceptance. By decision acceptance, I mean, again, what I've just mentioned prior, that people will do whatever task that I've assigned, not because they fear, not because they just paycheck, but because they trust, because they have a buy-in on whatever it is that you are trying to achieve. So the organization, or rather the team, becomes solution driven. Again, you find that the culture at the workplace improves a lot.